You never on time. Why you make a scandal and you don't even think that the scandal was? You know what I'm saying? You never on time. What's going on today? You know what I'm saying? What's going on with you, bro? Why even set a time for the live? Just go live. I was on time today. All right. I mean, I wasn't on time. I was kind of on time, and I'm here now. You feel me? I'm here now, and I look good. You know what I'm saying? I here now, and I look good. That was weird. Yo, y'all didn't see what just happened, but this book just fell down, and I strategically put it over in this corner. So if anybody's like trying to look in my house and stuff, they see like kind of like a one eye type of thing, because Noros Ovus Seclorum is kind of like the New World Order, and we kind of like we're constantly in a state of a New World Order, whether it's people alleging to be against a New World Order or it's people that are outwardly for a New World Order. But whatever the case may be, we are certainly in a New World Order. You heard that, bro? Yeah, shit. Let me show you the book that dropped. Oh, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, y'all. Welcome in, everybody. I appreciate y'all being here. This is the book that dropped. Ain't that interesting? This is the book that dropped. Look at that. That's the shit that dropped. Yo, that's weird, man. That is weird, bro. This is the book that dropped. Yeah, it dropped for a reason. I just put it up there, and it's been cool. I didn't touch it. I didn't go over there, bro. You know what I'm saying? I just be me in this big old crib by myself, just being disciplined and celibate. Oh, my God, it's hard sometimes. It's been hard the last couple of days for sure. You know what I'm saying? Especially because I've been a little lazy. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. But anyways, I appreciate y'all being here. 3 is my magic number. I appreciate y'all being here, man. Don't forget to like, double tap the screen, comment, share, subscribe. It just lets me know that you guys like me. You know what I'm saying? Even a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Even a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Even if you don't like me, just act like it, especially if you're going to look at me. You know what I'm saying? I know I look good. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I know I look good. You feel me? Oh, you like the jacket, bro? I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Oh, yeah, we got a lot to talk about today, brother. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to talk about today. And I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate everybody else that's just looking at me, I don't know who's looking at me because you guys don't comment sometimes, but I appreciate y'all being here. So Epstein, a good guy? I don't know. Oh, I appreciate you. I fuck with you too, Brody. I mean, double tap the screen. Jesus Christ. You know what I'm saying? Jesus. You know what I'm saying? And Jesus. Am I using the Lord's name correctly? I don't know. We kind of going to talk about that a little bit too. You know what I'm saying? So welcome in, guys. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in, guys. I missed you guys so much. And I sincerely do mean that. I don't know if you guys miss me, but I missed y'all. I can't get to y'all every day like I used to, and kind of like sometimes I want to, but kind of like when I got to y'all every day, that was kind of like burning me out sometimes. And I don't want to be burnt out when I come over here. I want everything to be like organic. I want it to be good. You feel me? I want it to be a good time. So let's just get straight into it. Let's see. What was the question? Did you already talk about Nikki and Trump? No, ma'am, I didn't. I appreciate you. Miss you too, bro. Did you talk about Nikki and Trump? Hey, don't you make my content for me. Don't you tell me what to do, even though I'm gonna do it. And that was a good suggestion. So I appreciate the suggestion. But I'm American and I'm rich, and rich Americans don't like being told what to do. What don't you know? Don't you listen to me? Don't you listen to me? Don't you listen to me? You don't be listening to me. You don't be listening to me. I'm not. We'll see. I'm American, so that means I don't take accountability. I got my money up. So that means I think I'm better than a lot of people. The real version of me doesn't think any of this stuff, but the American version of me is very, very arrogant. Anyways, let's just get straight to the content. No, I didn't talk about Nikki or Trump, but I'm kind of going to intertwine them into my topics today because I do think that they're appropriate. So this is what's going on. But before we get to America, I would like to briefly discuss Burkina Faso. Y'all know Burkina Faso? Well, Ibrahim Traore, he's kind of like, a lot of FBAs. They call us FBAs, not the FBI. And it's not like a basketball team, but it's like FBAs, like Foundational Black Americans. That's what they call us. We get a lot of names. First, we was, the hard R, and then we became Negros. And then we became coloreds. And then after coloreds, we became African Americans. And then nowadays, we are FBAs, Foundational Black Americans. Black like my pants, I suppose, even though I don't know anybody that look like this. Anyways, we're in Burkina Faso very briefly. So if y'all heard me talk about Burkina Faso, before, you've heard me speak upon the different things that the West kind of condemns Burkina Faso for doing, which is alienating themselves from European power and infrastructure and European backing. Now, the people that the colonizers of Europe, primarily speaking, especially on the West Coast in Central Africa, have been the French. And Burkina Faso has removed itself out of the grips of French colonial control. And, from just a black like these leather pants perspective, you know what I'm saying? Just like a black like these leather pants perspective. You feel me? You like my shoes too. Y'all like my outfit? I like my outfit. Anyways, just from a perspective, it seems really cool that, there's someone who's for their people, because oftentimes traditionally when we think about Africa or we think about, things like this, we think about Africa being just like a deplorable state. We think about it being just so poor. We think about it just being like the worst of the worst of the worst. You know what I mean? Just as far as, just everything worse. That's where you're going to go get AIDS, just the worst connotations that you can come up with for civilization. You associate that with Africa, primarily speaking. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate you, dog. Yeah, appreciate you, dog. You know what I mean? You got to look good when you got to feel good. If you want to feel good, you should also look good too. These things intertwine. But primarily speaking, when we think about Africa, the connotation is that this shit is, is the worst of the worst. So, and traditionally speaking, when you have an African leader that is coming into power, just because they are culturally and physically identified with that country does not mean that they are socially or economically or spiritually with that country. Meaning just because they from Kenya don't mean that they have the Kenyans' best interests. You feel me? Don't mean that they have the Kenyans' best interests. I'm gonna get to y'all comments in just a second. Let me finish my thought because I'm not that smart. So I gotta remember. Doesn't mean that they have the Kenyans' best interests. So being that, and most of the time too, when you get an African leader that has been put into a position of power, primarily speaking, they're basically like a puppet for whatever colonial European power exists in that region. You know what I'm saying? So for simple words, in Burkina Faso, the leaders of Burkina Faso were European identifying, European educated, but African living and sucking and draining all the resources out of their country and sending it back to Europe. So you get somebody like an Ibrahim Traore, you get somebody like him that comes along, and he represents a certain aspect of pride. He sits upright. He carries himself with diligence and intelligence and very militant. A lot of black people identify with this militant, with this military aspect, because it's not like that Martin Luther King stuff that we've been fed for so long that tells us that we're supposed to be a docile people, that we're supposed to treat people who have historically been the worst humans, ever. We're not supposed to treat those people like humans. Ibrahim Traore embodied this. He embodies the warlike, general-like aspect that black people worldwide like to identify with, especially nowadays. So Ibrahim Traore, good guy, right? He kicked all the foreign entities out. Black unity. He was offering FBAs, a pathway to citizenship, to come back to their homeland and to just kind of like re-identify and reorganize themselves into something that is rooted in something that looks like them, kind of, sort of. We're going to get to that as well. I became suspicious of Ibrahim Traore. Not because of any of those things I just mentioned. Again, generally speaking, it's very distinguished of any nation to prioritize the prosperity and the dignity and the lineage of their people. I have no issue with that, whether that be African, European, Asian, otherwise. I have no issue with this. I have no quarrel with it. However, I became suspicious of Ibrahim Traore. I became suspicious of him when he did one thing. He implemented the digital ID system in this country. That's the first time I became suspicious of this man. I've talked about the digital ID system plenty of times, people. I hope we've been paying attention. I've talked about the digital ID system plenty of times. And with the digital ID system, That means that they track your biometric data, meaning your blood type, your phenotype, your lineage, your ancestry. If you have any type of illnesses, everything about your biology, they track all of that. And then also, what they track is your social status, how you vote, if you're a delinquent or not, last times you've been arrested. And you carry all of this with you basically as a walking geotag, meaning a walking GPS for the country, for the state, to not only readily identify you, but also track you at all times. They're trying to implement something like this in Britain as well. They've already implemented something like this in the UK, not the UK, in China, in Russia, in another little one of those weird Eastern Asian countries as well that I can't readily speak of right now. That's the first time I became suspicious of them. I'm like, okay, I get that you want your people for your people. And he even closed his borders to America as well. And I had no issue with this. Because America, historically speaking, has been very aggressive with Africa. And then also, we have a kind of a European nationalist agenda. I don't think that's a word, but a European agenda as far as allowing European immigrants into our country and kind of excluding any others from our country, particularly African and particularly African and brown. We're kind of like all brown, so I don't really get that connotation. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. People, we are the biggest, by the way. Numbers been a little skewed, but also I understand the consistency and inconsistency of your host. And I'm doing better. Y'all just keep me in your thoughts and prayers, please. Anyways, let me finish this point, and I'll respond to all comments. And then I'll move forward. I became suspicious of Ibrahim Traore when he implemented the digital ID system, because I don't think that someone that values humane sovereignty would ever entertain a digital ID. I think that goes against your divine right to go about this world and to be whoever you want to be in the world. I feel like that goes completely against the nature of God. I just feel that personally. A lot of people feel the same way that I do as well. First time I became suspicious of him. Now I'm even more suspicious of this guy because, don't get me wrong, in order for him to rid himself of the colonial European power, that superpower that was France, because there's nothing in France resource-wise. They have to steal everything. They have to, in order for them to be a prosperous people. They're going through it right now. I don't know if you people know this. They're going through it right now. They're going through a cultural revolution. They're going through a work revolution. There's a lot of stuff going on in France because they're losing their grip on their French pride that they had through colonialism. He had to be a strong type of personality in order for him to achieve his goals of ridding himself of the European superpower in his country. I get that. However, he just did one thing that I don't understand. It doesn't register into my moral compass. They just eliminated every political party in Burkina Faso. They recently did this. They've eliminated every political party in Burkina Faso. There is no more political parties in Burkina Faso. So essentially, they have an oligarchy state, or what some would consider, they haven't officially said that, but it's not just him that is in charge, but he is the face of this state. Essentially, they now have a dictatorship or a kingdom. He hasn't crowned himself king. They haven't had kings in, I'm pretty sure at least 100 years or so. He's destroyed the military state that took over his country. They destroyed every single political party. There will be no more elections in Burkina Faso. How do I feel about this? Well, I'm telling you about it right now. I don't feel, again, it doesn't register immediately into my moral compass as something that is right. As a true leader that is elected and selected by God. But what do I know with my Western education? I didn't finish college. What do I know? Not much. But just from an outside perspective looking in, it doesn't sit right with me. No, it doesn't sit right with me. Because where do we go from here? What if I don't like how you're running the country? How do we then go about changing this? Well, it seems as though the only effective way of change, in the same way that he did it, is to do it by force. And with that, there will be many deaths, including yours. Possibly. Is this the only way effectively of change? I mean, democracy, this is why we have the concept of democracy, of a republic, where people, we the people, elect people based upon our best interest. This is why we do these things. So if you remove that away from me, what am I left with? Well, now I know exactly how you feel about me. I am a citizen of your state. And when will you get out of power? Whenever you die. And then you'll pass it on to your legacy and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But with that being said, we're on our way to America, people. We're making our way across the water. But with that being said, is democracy the best way to do things? What do you guys think? Before I make that point, I'll check your comments very briefly. It's got a touch of the 80s. It is from the 80s for sure. Yes, so I appreciate the compliment. Exactly. Like the lie. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. No NPLO. I don't know what that means. NPLO. Worries, bro. No problem or no worries, bro. When you die, you go to the nearest parallel universe and get it right there. That's kind of a different. That takes the conversation kind of elsewhere. When I referred to him dying, no worries for sure. When I referred to him dying, I was referring to him transferring the power, continuing the legacy through his bloodline, and not necessarily through a due process of elected officials for the people. That's what I was referring to him dying. But I see what you mean. Is democracy the best way to do things, or is it fuck democracy, like my headline would suggest in my thumbnail? Well, let's take a look at what democracy has gotten us so far. The United States is supposedly the leader in the free world as far as the democratic elected of Congress, of senators, of officials, of presidents. We are the precedent. We are the standard of how you're supposed to do this democratic process thing. Everybody has a voice, per se. We are a melting pot of ideas, traditions, cultures, religions, etc. Has it worked out for us? What do you think? Do you guys think it worked out for us so far? Has it been working out? What y'all think? Hey, y'all think this has been working out? Y'all can talk to me. Y'all think this has been working out? I don't know. Let's just weigh some of the evidence just a little bit. Let's just talk about. I'm not 6'7" in it. Let's just weigh some of the evidence just a little bit. When you let everybody get a say so, I agree with this comment. I'm going to incorporate that into my answer because it's pretty much how I'm thinking right now. When you let everybody get a say so, it only works if everybody has what's called a moral compass, which is what I alluded to earlier that was disturbed when I was researching and learning about the things going on in Burkina Faso. My moral compass was triggered a little bit because I feel like removing all parties from the state kind of removes the voice of the people. And it does. But is that a bad thing? It's not the best thing. I'll tell you like that. It's not the best thing. And I don't necessarily believe that democracy has worked out for us. I do believe, though, the idea and the concept of it is the best thing for America. Is the best thing for the free world. I do in my heart believe this. I do in my heart believe this. Welcome in, T-Bear. I appreciate you being here. Welcome in, everybody else. I appreciate y'all being here. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Numbers will pick up. I don't think democracy has been the best thing for us. Because we have something that's called a population, not like all countries, but we got something that's called a population. And in our population, the numbers of each ethnic group, because that's what consists of our population, we are not homogenous like a Burkina Faso, like a Japan, like a China, like a Korea. We are a melting pot of different people, cultures, ideas, beliefs, etc. We do not see eye to eye. We have never seen eye to eye. That's part of the problem. I don't have the answer as to what we should be doing. Because the best system of government is when everybody has a say-so, or at least when everybody is allowed to have an input. But what happens is if when you have a majority of one population and a minority of another, the majority usually has their interests met while the minority gets ignored or excluded. That's just common. I'm saying you don't need to be a scholar to figure that out. And that's what's been going on with us. So what's the best system or best method of government then? How should we govern ourselves? Does everybody need to say so? I'll tell you what, I'm going to compare it like this, bro. Does everybody deserve to say so? Let me tell you why. Let me give you both sides of the fence. We're supposed to be a nation under God, right? We're supposed to be a Christian nation, even though this nation wasn't founded under Christianity. It was actually against organized religion and traditionalism. More so, these founding fathers, they wanted to practice into occultism, and they wanted to be free to do so. I agree as well. That's the way that it should be done. But let me, you throwing out, you dropping bombs right now, bro. And I'm agreeing. But let me play double advocate. We're supposed to be a Christian nation, but through our Christianity and through like the Christian Crusades, our Christianity has been primarily bludgeoned and given to us through murder, degeneracy, lies, manipulation, racial hierarchy, etc. Jake Lang, I know him. He's the white Jew guy, kind of like who other white people don't necessarily consider him fully white. Anyways, he's that guy. He's the white nationalist that was in Minneapolis trying to protest and trying to say like white lives matter, etc. and stuff like that. And then he was about to get like attacked and like ripped apart by like a white mob. He was about to get ripped apart. No, you're free to speak, bro. He was about to get ripped apart and like tore apart by like a white mob. And someone came to save him. Someone came to help him. It was kind of one of the people that he speaks so arrogantly and so negatively against, as if my people have ever harmed his people. It was a member of my community, my ethnic community. Helped him and escorted him through the crowd. And I don't know why people ain't just go around a black dude and just still like do him something. It's because primarily speaking, those people were acting on due righteousness. And, primarily speaking, in times of civil unrest, the moral compass of the FBA has been seen as something that is righteous. Primarily speaking. What I'm getting at is Jake Lang claims to be a Christian. Jake Lang is a voter. Jake Lang is part of a silent European majority that exists in this country. A lot of people think like Jake Lang. They might not show up and outside like him. They're not fools like him. But a lot of people think like this. There's a lot of Jake Langs that vote. How do we feel about a Jake Lang voting? Because even in the midst of his detriment and his turmoil, he still views a particular part of his country, which is very anti-American of him, a particular part of his country, men, as subhuman and less than and not worthy of dignity nor respect. If it were up to Jake Lang, I'm sure my race would be held in back in slavery, if not worse. And he gets to vote. He gets to walk around. He gets to have a say-so, primarily speaking. But that's the beauty of this democratic process, because regardless of our identities, we all have a say-so. We get to say something. We get to say something. Everybody gets to say something. Even if what they say in their interest and what they want is for the death and the subjugation and bondage of others. Is democracy the right way if we allow people like this? Is the identity of Christianity as we understand it in this Western part of the world something Jesus would have wanted? I've been questioning these things. I'm not coming here to you with the answers. I'm coming to you just to, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. Jake Lang gets to vote, bro. Jake Lang get to vote. He get to walk around with his nuts out, even in the face of his annihilation. He still feels as though he is superior. Very anti-American of him. Very disingenuous of him. Why accept help? He should have pushed the nigga away. And I do mean nigga. He should have pushed this nigga away and say, no, nigga, don't touch me. That's what he should have did. That would have been more genuine of him. Instead of accepting the help like a little girl, like a little boy who needed to be escorted away from bullies. That was very disingenuous of him. Push this nigga next time and say, no, nigga, don't touch me. Ill is what he would have did. I would have respected that for sure. Instead of accepting the help and then saying, no, these people still wanted to do me something. Nigga, I do mean nigga. This is what our country is compromised. We're compromised the people who do not see eye to eye and cannot agree on anything, on basic humanity. And it has not been this way. It has not been something that is a new phenomenon. We are just getting to a point where we're allowed to have differences of opinion without there being outward riots and mobs and murder to a high degree from that largely European community. We're just getting to a place where we can sit next to each other. We're just getting cool like that. And we've been at this for a long time. We are a young nation. So that's one side of the coin. He's allowed to have an opinion. He's allowed to exist. He's going to vote this midterms for his best interest, because most people do. They don't vote for the interest of for all people, because most people don't care about anybody or anything, especially in this country, but themselves. So he's going to vote for his best interest. We know what type of interest he's going to vote for. It's not just him that thinks this way. A lot of people who hold resources and positions of power. By the way, this has nothing to do with nothing, but it kind of got to do with something. It's not just him it's not just the dumb, low IQ people that think like this. People that have resources and that control industry think like this as well. Charmin, the toilet paper. Other media tycoons and business moguls, they think like this. And they invest their money to consider people like him. Anyways, is democracy the best thing? Welcome in, people. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Is democracy the best way to do things? One nation under God. So the premise is supposed to be that God, the Most High, is supposed to be leading us and directing us in all that we do. But when we say things like this, welcome in, King. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate y'all being here. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Welcome in, dog. It's nice to see you. I missed all of you. And I do appreciate y'all time. When we say that we're supposed to be directed under God, we have to consider some things, people, when we say things like this. What God are we talking about? What God are you talking about? What do you see God as being? We're learning things like this. We're learning that people don't see God the same way, bro. This way I see God is not the same way that Jake Lane seen God. Because you know the black guy, let's just call him a nigga. The nigga that helped him out, you know how he saw God? He said that he was convicted by the Holy Spirit to help this man, irregardless of how he knows how this person sees him. And hey, I'm touched by that. I'm actually moved by it. I love that a man stands on principles and moral conviction, because all we have in this life is our word and our moral conviction. That's all we have in this life. We don't have anything else. But you know what? You know what the issue? I want y'all to see me. I look good. You know what the wrong thing? You know what's wrong about that? What's wrong about that is that the same type of mentality that we had that kept us in slavery for 400 years. Of love thy neighbor, do unto others as you would have them to do unto us. As treat all men equal, even if that man sees you as an animal, and would not extend the same form of hospitality. So, what God are we going to be under if we are a nation under God? Because I do believe that is the correct way to do so. And good people should help good people. But what do you define as good? Because Jake Lane defines good as blacks being subhuman. And he actually believes that that's true. And it's not just him that thinks like that. And it ain't just about blacks. I'm just talking about people. It's some people that think that murder is okay. Not defending yourself, but actual murder of people. Just because you have different views or you look different. It's actually people that justify this. And they justify it with God in their bio. So what God are we under? What God are you serving? Because the God that I'm aware of, in my English translation, in my limited capacity, the Christ that I'm aware of was completely against the state. He was against organized religion. He was against religious hierarchies, shallow doctrines. He was against all of this. The God that I know, the Christ that I know, he was against all of this. And through our limited understanding of the journeys of Christ, because they give us a fairy tale version. And through our limited understanding of the journeys of Christ, we are presented with a version of Christ that was very understandable, that loved all people. He loved his people. I think we should contextualize this. I am not here stating black supremacy. That's not what I'm doing, nor black nationalism. I'm for good people helping good people. But we have to really contextualize and really define what is good and what is not good. And we have to separate ourselves from that which claims to be good, but is actually an agent of chaos. I yield the floor for now. Let me read some comments and we're going to get back to that. What God are we serving? That's the point I'm resting on. Democracy seems like it's not working out. We used to be the one nation under God. Now we the land of the lost. See, I like your point. I would argue that we've always been the land of the lost, that we've never been one nation under God. I would argue this because this nation has never benefited everybody, even though it has been a melting pot of everybody. And it was a melting pot not by genuine want of blending ideas and cultures, but it was a melting pot due to slave labor from multiple races, from Asian indentured servitude and indigenous Black and West African forced chattel slavery is the primary reason that we are a mixed group of people, primarily speaking. The indigenous and West African first, the Asian later, mixed in with the Mexican, which is the indigenous Mexican, not the white European Mexican that they advertise, but the indigenous Mexican that is mixed with African. And the people that crossed the land bridge, the Aztecs and the Mayans and etc. So we've never been a nation that's been organized through genuine terms and through genuine memes. It's never been a genuine thing going on here. It's never been a genuine thing going on here, dog. And I'm not here to argue against superpowers expanding their prospect. I'm not here to say that we, the United States, shouldn't have our own best interests, or that the European that came over here shouldn't operate in its own best interest, because that's from a nationalist standpoint, that just makes the most sense. So I used to sit here and I used to be mad at racism, and I still find those people to be despicable and deplorable people and to be agents of Satan. But I'm not mad at them in relation to I just don't understand it. I completely get it. I just don't like when they're disingenuous and act like this is not supposed to be like this. Jake Lang's is kind of like the good ones. He admits outright, no, this was made for me. And I only want it for me. And it should only be made for me. He gets disingenuous as far as, the statistics and, the bullshit that these people like to die upon, the hills that they like to make with their bullshit. But as far as how he feels about something, I like that. It's very genuine. And I like when people tell me the truth. So, we're in a tight spot, people. We're in a real tight spot. And we've been in a tight spot for a long time. But we're in a tighter, narrow window right now where we're in a land of, this has always been the land of opportunity. And the reason this opportune time right now is because we have the freedom to decide, all those people speaking, we have the freedom to decide how we're going to move forward from here. And this is a good thing. This is a good thing. We have the freedom to decide how we're going to move forward from here. That's a wonderful thing. But we have a narrow window of opportunity. Because with that understanding, it comes with a high level of accountability. We have to be accountable for our sins. That's the only way that we're going to move forward. And you know what we have never done in this nation? And I like to joke about these things, but I root these things in kind of sincerity. We have never been accountable for who we are, who we really are. We don't like looking ourselves in the mirror and saying, okay, I'm a murderer. I'm a rapist. I'm a predator. I'm a thief. I'm a liar. But I have the opportunity to be something that's worthwhile. This is called repentance. I have the opportunity to repent we're not able to repent because we're not being real with ourselves collectively. Not everybody, at least. Not enough people. That brings in the Epstein part. A lot of people are talking about Epstein. A lot of people are talking about this, that, and the third. A lot of people are talking about, I'm going to read your comment in just a second, bro. A lot of people are talking about this, that, and the third. Listen, and I want to say this very carefully. I want to say this very, very carefully. Epstein is not a morally good person. He's one of the worst people that we are aware of that's been outed, that's existed in modern times. He is an agent of Baal himself, of Baal himself, which we would understand to be Satan or Lucifer. He is, though, very, very good at what he does. I'm not excusing the child molestation, the child predatorness, the alleged degenerate acts of sexual attacks towards men as well. I'm not excusing any of this, and I'm not for sure. I'm not excusing the lives that have been ruined through this creature. But he's very good at what he does because he is such a demon himself. The devil's very organized. Like, we like to think that evil is not organized or evil is very chaotic. Demons themselves are very chaotic beings. They cannot incarnate in the physical realm themselves. So the way that they have to, remember we talk about the shadow realms all the time. So in order for them to interact with us, they have to operate through vessels or through what we consider temples or our bodies or by our biological starships that we're able to walk around with, that are these bodies. They have to organize themselves through this. So I say all that to say the devil's very organized, and Epstein was a good agent, is a good agent, because I don't think he's dead, but is a good agent of that chaos. He kept records. Because when you're involved in real and what we consider sin, when you're involved in like what we consider like the dark web and shit to be, because that's what this is, right? That's what this is, right? What we consider the dark web to be. When you're involved in this, or when you're involved in things like this, you usually don't have self-control. I don't know if you've ever been around, a liar or a cheat or someone who likes little girls, or a woman that likes little boys. I don't know if you've been around a pedophile, or I don't know if you've been around somebody who is, the worst. Back them into a corner or give them what they want, entertain their lust. They don't have any self-control. Pedophiles do not have self-control, because once you engage in stealing of someone's innocence, you feel emboldened with power. You then forfeit your self-control, because self-control is divine. Self-control is godly. Self-control is of God. A lack of self-control, being and operating in the flesh, is the reward of serving the light, which Lucifer is called the light bearer, correct? I know it's kind of like a double entendre. Is he agent of darkness, or is he agent of light? He's a light bearer. He's a false signal. You ever played a game where they had like a zombie, or they had somebody trying to lead you, acting like they helping you, show you the right way? Are you seeing the movies? But actually he leading you into a cave. He leading you to your death. But he's beautiful because it looks like salvation, because it looks like liberty. It looks like liberty. It's what's the word? It's liberating. There we go. It's liberating to be able to do whatever you want whenever you want to do it. That's the American dream. It's liberating to be able to do that. So Epstein, what he did, what he do, this is what that boy do. This is what the Jew boy do. And again, he's still alive. I believe so. Wholeheartedly, he's still alive. This is what the Jew boy does. He in order to have all supreme power and control, he offers delicacies of the flesh. What do men who have no self-control want? They want little girls. They want to be able to do things to little girls that what's done in the dark, with some of the things that are done in the shadows, it would make you, you wouldn't be able to stomach it. You wouldn't be able to sit here and just be okay. You might rip your hair out. You might go out into the street and start screaming and stop the nearest car and tell them what's going on, because that's how the revolution starts. And I want to incorporate drugs into this. I want to incorporate food into this. I want to incorporate media into this. And I also want to incorporate politics into this, because I do think that it is a current cabal of thought that's kind of like MK Ultra that keeps us in this low vibrational state, even with these 3.5 million files that have been released about child sexual depravity, of cannibalism, of just the worst forms of what one human could do to someone who's vulnerable and weaker than them. Even though we have all that, I do think that is still a form of illusion. And the reason that I believe so, and I'm not even believe, the reason I'm sure that this is still a distraction is because these people, and I say this all the time, these people play chess, but they're not playing chess the way that you and I play chess. The game has already been there. They're willing to sacrifice kings. They're willing to sacrifice queens. They're willing to sacrifice pawns. And the people that we think are kings and queens are actually pawns. There is a 1% of the 1%, is what I'm saying to you. This is not something that's we're getting somewhere, but we're still the pyramid. We're still at the tip of the pyramid, and we learned that the pyramid that is shown above ground, there's still a complete pyramid structure. So really, it's a diamond. It's a complete structure. There is another pyramid underground. We are still at surface level. And Epstein was an agent of keeping track of surface level shit. He was an agent, though, of what likes to be done in the darkness by these pawns that we consider kings. Like people like Jay-Z and Puff Daddy and all these niggas that we like to consider as being important. They're not even on the chessboard. They're just like a water gun spraying at you. The pawns and shit I'm talking about is like, King, whatever the inbred from England, whatever his name is, whatever the inbred's name from England is, him, King Charles, is that his name, or Prince Charles, whichever one that is, Prince Andrew. That's a pawn. You might even consider it a knight. Elon Muskie, the white nationalist himself, the tech Nepo baby who inherited all of his wealth from a land and enterprise stolen by his forefathers and his father. He's a pawn. Bill Gates, that's a pawn. The Clintons, these are pawns that are easily exposable, and these people are aware of this. They have lived out their use, and they've lived some long lives as well. Trumpy baby. That's a pawn, bro. Ibrahim Traore is a pawn. Bill Gates is a pawn. All presidents are pawns. We've never had one U.S. president that was elected by the people. All these presidents have been related. How is that possible? It's not possible in a democratic process. It's not possible. So let's just recap a little bit. Make sure we're on the same page. I'm not saying fuck democracy, but I'm saying fuck this version of democracy. It doesn't seem to be working out. I'm not so educated, though. I don't have all the political science. Even though I studied political science, I didn't finish, though. Maybe that's why I'm not so educated. But I don't have the answer as to how do you, in a position of a melting and boiling pot society, how do you create a situation to where the majority doesn't necessarily get to outweigh the minority's opinion? Okay, you did have that. You had that where the ballots and stuff, where there were laws, called civil rights laws and legislation that were passed to level out the playing field. So districts with majorities over here didn't get outweighed by the minorities over here. A lot of that shit gets overran and overturned when certain people in power get to play. This political theater, this political game that we get to play is wicked, bro. It's gnarly, bro. It's the gnarliest shit in the world. So, one nation under God. What God are you talking about? What God are you talking about? So, what God are you talking about? When you talk about a nation under God, you and I understand each other because we're good, upright people. At least we try to be. We do our best. Our word means something to us. The nature of the widow, of the child, of the hard-working man, of the single woman means something to us. Our integrity means something to us. You and I understand each other. A lot of people, though, don't really necessarily agree that you should have an opinion if you don't agree with them. What God are they serving? They claim to serve the same God that you and I do. That's what they claim. In our English understanding of an African traditionalist, traditional, they call it Middle East and shit. Where the fuck? These people like to move the goalposts all the time, and then they say you moving the goalposts when they get called out on their bullshit. A lot of these people are just outwardly evil. Outwardly evil. I've been seeing y'all comments, so let me make sure I read y'all, so I let y'all know that y'all are loved and stuff like that there. Let me see what y'all talking about. Embrace your shadows. I completely agree. America's the biggest stage. Never forget that. America is the new Babylon. I completely agree. Or something is wrong with them. A starving person with the right mind will go to a garden and eat the right fruit. There's something wrong with a starving person who chooses the fruit that isn't ready. I would like to understand more about what you mean. I forget the point that I was on to where I could completely get all the context of that. But that sounds beautiful though. Let me see. Let me scroll down. They serve the devil. They serve the false god. Yeah, they serve light. They serve the enlightenment, which again they believe that they're divine, and we're still in manifest destiny, right? We're still kind of in the manifest destiny space, to where the Europeans' divine right to expand his horizon and to reach this final destination, which will be complete control, either that or a Zionist state from so-called Jews and Israelites. Complete Zionist state to where they are on top and all the rest of the Gentiles or the Gui, are on bottom. No Will Smith, no Diddy, no Epstein, That's a good point, bro. And that's a good point. And that's a good question. I'm at 54, so I got to make the 60. The problem with a revolution or with an outright revolt is that without organization, there will be no successful revolt. There will be no successful riot. There will be no successful protest, because a successful way to protest is to disrupt enterprise, not to necessarily put your body outside with the sign and to march up to said industries, but to disrupt those industries. That is the most successful form of protest. And how do you disrupt industries? Well, you're supposed to do that with your dollar and your attention. But again, you're not. We're not in a country of collective thinking. We've established that. We discussed that. We're not in a place of collective thinking. So how do you, in a place of non-uniformity, we can't even agree that migrants, even whether they came in this country right or wrong, should be held with some type of integrity, should be held with some type of universal law, which states, even in our Constitution, which states that even the foreigner is allowed his due process in court. We can't even agree on that, on following our laws. We can't even agree that some people that were taken for chattel slavery, that were taken and used like animals and institutionally kind of harbored in this country and disparagingly discriminated against at all times, currently deserves some form of apology. Obama apologized for slavery. I don't want Obama to apologize for slavery. Your apologies mean nothing to me. We can't even agree on basic civil liberties and rights. So how do we do something like that? Well, again, you have to organize yourself. Organization is key. Here, context matters here. We have to organize ourselves amongst ourselves. You see how people started organizing themselves and rioting because of what's that shit? Because of Alex Preddy and Renee Good. By the way, there have been multiple people killed by ICE. They are not memorialized by media like these people are. I mean, there's an obvious bias here. We can't even agree on basic on a loss of life. We can't even agree on that. The way that you do this is through organization. It has to be through organization. You have to organize yourself amongst yourself, and you have to organize yourself with an understanding that it's going to take every dollar and every bit of effort that you normally put into everyday society into this. You got to change your way of thinking. You have to change your perspective. This is a 10th grade language arts book, by the way. But the one eye symbolism is used everywhere. And I do think that it's important that this popped up because it just shows how novus ovis seclorum, nodos or odos ovis seclorum is used in all facets and all walks of life. We are the new world order at all times, and we always have been. It's not a new phenomenon, but you do have to change your perspective, though. Your perspective cannot be that revolution happens later. There is no later. There is only right now. And we could do this right now. With my platform, I intend to do so. This is my point of doing this. My point is not to just wear dope outfits and get some money off of y'all and boss up my life and travel. I do want to boss up my life. I do want to travel. I do want to wear dope outfits. I want to do all that stuff. But all of that is futile. I do plan on having children, even though I don't want to raise them in a world like this. But my perspective has had to change a lot in order for me even to get to this point. Your perspective has to change. The revolution is now. Because while all this Epstein stuff is going on, while the Clintons are being held in contempt of Congress currently as we speak, while there's a resolution to, and then what's the point of releasing 33.5 million pieces of information if 60% of that stuff is blacked out with like black ink? And like, how do these people get to sue to have their names removed from accountability? In a nation that doesn't like criminality, in a nation that doesn't like thugs, goons, murderers. There's implicit and obvious bias here. The way that we do this, though, is that we hold our industries accountable. Me too, bro. I've been on a kind of a. I gotta read more. I've been doing a lot of scrolling lately, and it's completely unacceptable. So I'm getting really gonna get back to reading. Yeah. Um. You have to change your perspective. Make sure I read all your comments. So you think this world is at its end? That's a good question. That's a really, really good question. To be at its end suggests that there was a beginning that you and I created. This is not the end. This is just the beginning of something else. I do believe that we're at the end of pretending. That's what I think. Like pretending like things, pretending like the American dream is the best thing. Like pretending like Christianity as we know it is healthy. Pretending like we're the good guys of the new world, pretending like we know what the heck we're talking about. I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. I'm still learning. And the more and more I learn, and this is cliche, but it's so true. The more and more I learn, the more I realize, like, man, I'm a fool. I'm a fool, bro. I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing. I know shallow information. And what I do learn, I articulate that with you guys. But I think we're at a I know actually that we're at the beginning of something that we've never seen before. Something old though, something how it used to be. We're going back to how things used to be. And I don't mean like slavery and shit, because that's kind of like, the chattel slavery shit was kind of like, it talked about this in the Bible, how it would happen. But I'm talking about like before the Bible, like what that looked like. That's where we're getting back to. We're getting back to that now. You know, that's a fact. We don't know where it's headed. That's why your personal relationship with Christ has to be even more stronger. And you should read upon things like this. You should read upon political theory. I think that we should learn some Aramaic to read the original translation of the word. I'm going to Ethiopia to read the original Bible. We're going to schedule that trip. No, this is a marathon, people. This is not things that might happen in the next 6 months. These are things that are going to happen over the next few years. I'm in it for the long haul with you guys, and I hope y'all in it for the long haul with me, because we're going to grow and we're going to revolt, but we're going to do so strategically and with intent and with purpose and with education. You got to change your perspective. Facts. We all can feel this. Same. I can't lie either. No, because you're a person of integrity and dignity. And I do love y'all with the love of Christ. I appreciate y'all being here. Don't forget to like, comment, share this video so we can get them numbers back up. We need to be like over like 300. You know what I'm saying, at least. But share this video, like, comment, share, subscribe. We are the biggest, by the way. Bodman forever. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.